Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Thursday and welcome to the Jeff Ed. I can't see if anyone's typing in yet, so I'm going to log on for that quickly. Just waiting for Ames to send me the link. Hopefully some of you are here with me live. That will be awesome to have questions coming in if there are any. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. As soon as I've got this link sent to me, I'll be able to greet you if you are coming in. Guys, today the topic is you don't have a sugar addiction. And we're talking about the psychological science behind your sugar cravings, which is super duper interesting. And I think that, the topic is so pertinent because the idea of addiction almost leaves us feeling like it's out of our control. It's something that we have to resign to, the idea of being addicted to something. And I think when we realize that there's that element of control behind our sugar cravings and things that we can do to actually eradicate the intense feeling of needing sugar, and the things we can do to manage it, then it gives us a little bit of control over the situation. It sort of takes those shackles of addiction out of the picture and gives us a chance to really deal with what's going on. But we'll start touching on that as soon as I've got this link. There's sorry, we have a look. Those of you who will be watching at a later stage, I think this is an amazing platform to realize some strengths and some protective factors you have in your sort of battle with sugar, which so many of us are struggling with. So I think let's get going. Regardless of me not being able to see who's with us, which is really frustrating. But here we go. Okay, guys, so I have no doubt that in the media, you have seen like hundreds of messages coming across to you telling you that sugar is addictive. You're being told that, sugar is just like crack. I saw articles when I was Googling this on Oreos are as addictive as cocaine. And you hear sort of these messages coming across, I can't help it, I'm addicted to sugar. And, as a coach, I often find a lot of my clients will be coming in and saying like, I have this complete sugar addiction, or I'll see it on the Jeff Life, or even when I'm making these connection calls to chat to people who've shown an interest, I'm so often hearing that they don't trust themselves to follow the plan because they are like, but I'm addicted to sugar. Like I physically can't stop myself. So how am I going to follow this plan? And the truth is that, you're not addicted to sugar. And I'm going to let you know why. What's even worse is that you'll see that this is in addition to that. You'll see like articles stating empirical evidence finds sugar highly addictive. But we need to remember that how have these studies been set up? What were the confounding variables and how did they impact the outcome? All very important and all things to consider when you're just starting to believe, these broad statements that sort of come from nowhere. This is something that you can question me on. I know that I can't quite see your comments, but I'll get to them afterwards. And if you want to know more about these tests that have been done, you're welcome to ask me. So guys, I've even actually seen rehabs that have opened with with programs specifically for sugar addictions, but these have closed down. I think there was one in Hot Bay. It's no longer there because a program isn't going to work when it's not formulated, when interventions aren't formulated on theory. And unfortunately, theory just does not support the claim that sugar is addictive. This is all propaganda. Now let's look at this. You're probably sitting thinking like, okay, if sugar's not addictive, why am I sitting here thinking about Jolly Jammers that are in the cupboard downstairs? Why can't I resist the wine gums when they're offered to me? Why can I not help myself when I'm drinking a cup of tea and there's a slice of cake? Why do I feel like on some days I just need sugar? And there are those days. There are those days when you just need that pick-me-up. And sugar can be and is that pick-me-up for a lot of us. It's really comforting, it's really soothing, and it serves as an upper. But this doesn't mean that it is anything like cocaine. So yeah, it is damn soothing. I know it is, but that's not because you're dependent on it. It's not because you're as dependent on it as you might think. And it's not because sugar is your crack. It's not because your body physiologically needs sugar. And it is definitely not, really can't be compared to cocaine. So guys, the first thing that we need to look at is that diagnostic criteria for addictions. Now, this is quite theoretical, but the diagnostic criteria, which sort of explains and characterizes how addictions work, doesn't support the claim that sugar can be addictive either. So Ames, if you put up image 1, it's going to go across my face, please. This is just some of the, there we go. This is just some of the characteristics that would characterize and diagnose addictions. So this is in the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic and manual, which we use in psychology to diagnose people and, and characterize their pathologies. So guys, from this, you see these quite scary claims, and I'm sure there are things that you could tick off in this list, but you also have to remember that these are all varying degrees. Okay, so we can take that down if you've had a chance to read it, or you can pause it over and go back and look if you just want to understand what an addiction sort of really would be characterized by. And essentially, sugar doesn't fit into those characteristics. An example is somebody would sell their whole house and hold up a bank to serve a drug addiction. But, I mean, you don't often hear of somebody doing that, selling off their items and robbing banks to serve their sugar addiction, which is just sort of a practical evidence that there is quite a big difference. But you're probably still skeptical, probably still sitting thinking like, okay, great, but you're saying this, however, I do have a sugar addiction. Like, I do, because I can't help myself. Like, I need it. I crave it. I'm sure I do. Like, surely that's an addiction. And first of all, off the bat, not a healthy narrative to be serving yourself. When you're constantly telling yourself that there's something wrong, something does start to be wrong. So if you're constantly going like, I'm addicted to sugar, it's really not going to be supporting the lifestyle transformation or the plight for a more balanced and healthy life. So saying this, my goal by the end of this is actually to have you writing in the comments, which I state again, I can't see, so I'm very sorry, because I would love to have been interacting with you all more closely. I want you to be writing there, I'm 80 and I do not have an addiction to sugar. I do not have a sugar addiction. But that's not to say that I don't have some unpleasant habits, which I would like to beat. Habits, have some unpleasant habits being the key word. Okay, so keeping this in mind, let's look at how we can refute the claims that they've made in the media about sugar being quite addictive. So, guys, I'm sure you've all seen this image come up somewhere. I know I've seen it a bajillion times. Ames, if you can put up image 2. So, guys, this is a brain and their brain scans, and they pick up on brain activity. On the one side, you see what sugar is doing to the brain, and on the other side, you see cocaine. Now, admittedly, this is shockingly similar. It's showing two substances lighting up the same areas, the same pleasure centers. And in fact, sugar is actually lighting that pleasure center up a whole lot more than cocaine, which, it would make it seem quite plausible that if a drug such as cocaine could have this impact on your brain in such a way, and sugar's doing it more than that, then surely there's some kind of similarity in the properties between sugar and cocaine. And you can pop that down so I can see everybody again, please. Or more so that everyone can see me. Hi. Okay. And the answer is no. Okay. The difference is that the drive for sugar is not founded in pathological origins. Okay. So pathological origins are described in that DSM image that we put up earlier. Sugar doesn't quite fit that. Okay. But sugar is rather founded, and the need for sugar is rather founded in learned behaviors. And this is through reward-based learning. Okay, so this is where this gets juicy. Okay, what is reward-based learning? How has it impacted my life to such a degree, or our lives to such a degree, where we truly believe that we are full on addicted to sugar? And I'm going to explain that to you. So this is a little bit of sort of neuroscience coming in. I'm going to try and put it in layman's terms. If you need to write it down, because it's quite a lot, it's theoretically dense, but I'm trying to explain it quite simply. Okay, so we have reward-based systems in our brains. Okay, might have heard of this, might have not, but I'm going to give it a go at explaining. Okay, you have a brain. In your brain, you have systems. Okay. One of these systems, out of many systems, is your reward system. Now, this is a group of structures in your brain that's activated when we experience something rewarding. So when we experience a stimulus, which our brain senses as rewarding, the group of structures releases a chemical. This chemical is called dopamine. Now, dopamine is your pleasure-seeking chemical or your pleasure chemical. So something rewarding is happening. This specific structure is releasing a chemical, okay? Now, this chemical, dopamine, is transmitted, so it flows through these pathways in your brain to another similar structure. And this is the motivation system. So when you experience pleasure, you're motivated for more. The chemical's flowing into the other system, okay? Now, this is activated to an extent when dopamine enters that system. And this obviously then promotes further pleasure-seeking behavior because you're now feeling motivated. So you're experiencing pleasure and now you're motivated for more. Like, yes, okay. So these pathways are the reward center. And the reward center is linked to the motivation center, and they are continuously activated during rewarding experiences. So you're motivated to keep going, keep experiencing this rewarding feeling, this huge release of dopamine, which is your pleasure principle. So you're experiencing pleasure. Now, why does sugar so often fall into such an incredibly pleasurable experience? Why has sugar, out of all substances, out of all things, out of all feelings and places and scenarios, why is sugar such an intense feeling of pleasure? And let's look at that, okay? So taking it back to our caveman days, we needed to get the most calories in as possible to survive. You're not sort of eating as regularly as we are. You can't just pop to the shop and buy something and eat something again a little bit later. You eat as much as you can at once because you don't know when you're going to eat again or don't know when you're going to have something sustainable again. So calorie dense, and sugar is calorie dense. Our brains associate higher calorie foods with greater rewards because it's causing us to live and thrive and survive. So naturally, we have a bigger release of the pleasure chemical and a greater motivation to keep going. So that's first, okay? Huge calorie intake, great because we can survive off of it. And our instinct is to survive. We have human biological instincts to survive, okay? So that's number one. That makes sense. The chemical's released and we're motivated to do more. We can't stop. Next, okay? There are reward values around people, places, and things. So think back to birthday parties, the fun you had with your friends, those special occasions with your family, the delicious cakes, the ice cream, the sugary treats at these events. Or even when you were really good, you did something well when you were younger, you won a gala, you won a spelling bee, you mowed the lawn, you did your homework. We're often rewarded with sugary treats. Do your homework and you can have your marshmallow. Now, this reward value around sugar is thus reinforced from a young age. And it goes into the single composite reward value where we learn to associate good times, special occasions, gatherings with our loved ones, or even doing well with and succeeding in something with sugary delights. So all those special occasions, sugar was present. Okay. Now, this doesn't always have to be at the forefront of our consciousness. We don't always remember the taste of the cake from a party that we attended when we were 6 years old, and we don't remember the fun we had with our family of friends. But subconsciously, and underneath that conscious layer, we have made associations that eating cake, eating sugar, having ice cream means good times, special times, love times, times when we succeeded and we were rewarded, times when we were around people we loved. And naturally, dopamine starts flowing at the thought. The pleasure-seeking hormone starts flowing into that motivation center, and we feel motivated and compelled to eat that sugary snack. Does that make sense? Now, the question is that how do people respond to this? Okay, we've been told to use willpower, but it's quite evident that willpower doesn't work. And why? Why isn't willpower working when we don't want to eat the sugar? And you need to remember that it's not about the cake. It's not about the sugary snack. It's not about the ice cream. It's about that learned and felt experience and rewards associated with the behavior of eating that sugar. So we can't just think our way out of stopping those sugar cravings. We can't just decide, okay, cool, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore because it's bad for me, and we're going to eliminate those cravings. That doesn't happen. We're motivated for them because the dopamine is associated to them. It's flowing into that structure, which is going, I'm motivated to eat the sugar because it makes me feel good. It's automatic to want to feel good. By the very nature of human being, it's biological that we are programmed to want to feel good. Those systems are programmed to really work together. And, that automatic response of the dopamine flowing, motivation coming, and then we're motivated to do that, it's an automatic response. We human beings, we can't think to ourselves, I need to eat breakfast. I need to learn. You can't relearn behaviors. So naturally, we're super smart. Things become automatic responses. Now, not a physiological dependency, as an addiction is described in the DSM. And this is good news, okay? And it's good news, as I explained in the beginning, because it doesn't mean that you're sort of shackled by the thought of an addiction and having to beat an addiction, but instead the word habit. And habits are things that can be disrupted by updating reward values. So remember, we've spoken about the reward value system and the learned behaviors. And I think by reinforcing the fact that sugar is not an addiction, it's a learned behavior due to reward-based learning, surely that means that we can unlearn something, or we can reset this in some way. And it's true, we can. We can update our reward values, the reward values that we put on things like sugar, and the memories around eating it, the subconscious memories around eating it. So how do we do this? How do we stop bad habits? And how do we reprogram these neural pathways to stop that dopamine from traveling into that motivation system and motivating us to eat the sugar, to want the sugar, to crave the sugar? And that's where beating bad habits and finding systems which really work to overcome bad habits come into play. And these systems exist. They are systems based in sound empirical evidence and theories, which really show us that you can overcome bad habits. And I'm sure all of you have at some point in your life beaten a bad habit. And habits are things that we can get stuck with. We have a webinar, marketing here. No, I'm joking. We have a webinar on the 1st of June, which you can sign up for, where we are going to go into detail on how to beat bad habits. And we're going to look at conquering bad habits using systems. It's called the behavior, can't remember what it's called right now, but it's all about overcoming bad habits. And I've put together a whole webinar where we've got worksheets and 21 days. It's not a challenge. It's something you're going to be going through on your own, but you've essentially got a system which you can put into place on your own in a kind of self-help platform or self-help system which you can take yourself through to beat these habits. Sugar being one of them. So for those of you who do really struggle with sugar, please join in. It's on the 1st of June at 8 p.m. And it's going to be absolutely epic because I'm actually going to give you practical guides to overcome these habits. So yeah, guys, I'm going to try again to quickly sign in so that I can see the comments and see if there's been some people I can have a chat with, because that would be awesome. I don't know what on earth is going on here, but I would really like to interact with you guys properly. So just give me 2 seconds. For those of you who, this is actually really annoying. Let me try and forward this forward 2 seconds. Sorry, guys. Okay, should be able to get on now. Okay, there we go. Guys, awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, Pat. Second time today. For those of you who've, rewards-based systems in your kids, absolutely. But I'm going to give you, in the webinar that's coming up, I'm going to give you worksheets, and your kids can also engage with these. And I need to turn this down, otherwise you guys are going to be hearing feedback. It's going to be absolutely amazing, guys. And it's really, now that you have the sort of the evidence and the knowledge that this is not something that you're stuck with for life. This is something you can get over. It's time to work. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to this is not something anybody else can change. This is something that you have control over, you have power over, because theoretically, we're able to change our habits. We're able to change these, to update the reward values of different things in our lives. And we're able to unlearn and relearn good behaviors in those places. So you're not addicted to sugar. And if you feel slightly convinced by this today, let's change that narrative. That narrative of, oh, I can't, I'm addicted to sugar. Yes, you can. You are not addicted to sugar. You can stick to your eating plan. You can do Jeff. You can. Because sugar doesn't have to be an issue. It's something that you can work on. It's something that you can get past. It's a reward-based learning that you can update. Make the commitment to yourself, guys. Join the Habits webinar. I think it's close to being full, but if there is more demand, we can open up a few more spaces. I think, I must just check. But if not, we will post it on, I'll post the worksheets for you guys to go through on your own. And I'm seeing some eye-opening. That's awesome. I'm so glad, Cheryl. And I'm glad you guys found it really interesting. I did the 21-day challenge and stopped sugar 100%. Fell off the wagon, trying again. Oh, I'm so glad to hear you trying again. Just remember that whilst, there are different times that habits take to learn to unlearn and relearn. But, and 21 days is a really good time to be able to do that. But remember, for something that you've been doing and something that's so ingrained in your life, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's not something that's just going to change and be done with, and that might not come back to haunt you, but you always have a chance to get out of that. Reward systems definitely impact from a young age. Absolutely. Will the link be emailed to us? The link is available on the platform. I can try and post it in the comments section for sure. And absolutely, change the reward. Guys, that's also something so important. I think we often, use treats and sugary delights as an award, as a reward for our children. And I want to actually call this generational trauma. You're setting your kids up to live a life of bad habits if those are actions that we are employing. So definitely find other ways to reward them. Find other things that release that dopamine. If you're rewarding your kid with a dog walk or a game of catch in the garden, or you guys can practice handstands together or something active and physical, your child might find that same reward value in far more adaptive behaviors than these maladaptive sugar cravings. So that's absolutely true. I love that. Um, and guys, I will send the dietitian, and she's posted here, as new taste buds grow like skin cells, also means we can learn to eat less sugar over time. I love that, and that's so true. Absolutely, bad habits and future obesity. So 100%, Tanya. And unfortunately, most of us, where this knowledge around these things wasn't as sort of readily available and wasn't as spoken about, and we didn't have Google, our parents and all of our parents weren't that aware of the fact that sugar could have such a negative impact on our lives, and that sugar would make your teeth rot. Sugar could contribute to weight gain. Sugar could really lead us to a low sense of self-worth when we're doing something that we know isn't good for us. Habitually, we start thinking, what's wrong with us? Why am I doing this? I know I shouldn't be doing this. It's not good for me. Why am I doing this? I must be addicted. But you're not addicted. It's habits. Please, guys, I want you to try and comment in here going, I am 80 and I'm not addicted to sugar. That would be the best thing that could happen by the end of this. I'm going to stay on with you for 2 more minutes. I'd love to hear some of that from you guys. If you can really sort of take on that narrative of allowing yourself to give into the fact that this is not an addiction. Just that narrative is going to make the ability to conquer this habit so much easier. When we convince ourselves of something, it's more often than not something which comes into fruition or becomes part of our reality. So, guys, this is me signing out. I'm 80 and I'm not addicted to sugar. I look forward to seeing some of you at the webinar where we're going to work on breaking bad habits, forming new ones, and conquering these sugar habits. Stay well, guys. Cheers. Ames, we are done here.